wanted to talk about a grandma who's being displaced from her home in South Carolina, or potentially is being displaced from her home in South Carolina.
Okay.
And this, for me, right, it's amongst the Geechee Gullah people.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother growing up, I didn't even know what Geechee Gullah meant, but she always called me a Geechee boy. Like, what's a Geechee boy? I love rice. Both sides of my family are from South Carolina. I'm just now discovering that. And so as I dig deeper into Geechee culture, it's so African. And it's like, oh, this is very refreshing.
Yeah, I don't know anything about my family's from North Carolina, but I don't know anything about Geechee culture. I know Geechee Gotti, the battle rapper, but that's pretty much it.
Yes. So I want to talk about this real quick.
What's happening right now on Hilton Island in South Carolina? Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. 93-year-old Josephine Wright is at the center of a lawsuit that picked up attention nationwide. As development goes up around her home, she's literally in the middle of what developers hope could be a new home community. But for Wright, so much more. CNN's Dan Gallagher reports.
We are connected to this land. Our blood runs through these trees.
No matter what, we will keep this land. So this land's going to be here with us if it's going to be another 200 years. That's the way we look at it.
But not everyone has that same view. The serene marsh and sandy beaches of Hilton Head Island have been home to the Gullah Geechee community since before America became America. But today, community members say development threatens those families who still call it home.
Why should we give up such a precious gift that God has given us?
Josephine Wright has lived in this house on Hilton Head Island for 30 years. But she says her family's home has been on this land since the Civil War, purchased by freedmen and passed down for generations.
And so, again, Black woman, 93 years old, a grandma, right, been here for multiple generations, is potentially going to lose her home.
Great-grandmother.
Right, great-grandmother, thank you. But it just seems like this issue, even though I know it's Hilton Head, it's luxury beachfront property, this is an issue that's happening everywhere. And it seems like some of the same issues are happening amongst it.
Is she the lady that Kyrie Irving made a crazy donation to help her fight the legal battle?
I will look that up maybe, but let's watch the rest of it.
Her husband, a Gullah descendant, wanted to be sure to keep the land in the family after his passing.
I feel so much pride and comfort in knowing that this is where I will be for the rest of my life.
But the 93-year-old great-great-grandmother has felt little comfort here over the past few months.
This is when we start hearing the trees say boom, boom.
Wright is being sued by a company with plans to build 147 three-story townhomes along this Jonesville Road community, a historic Gullah Geechee neighborhood.
And they were really trying to run the bag up.
Yeah. Kyrie Irving gave her 40 grand to give her a lawyer.
40 grand, right?
Yeah, to pay for a lawyer. Yeah, I did see that. This is her.
Our blood, sweat, and tears are in this land. My ancestors are buried here down at the end of the road.
Today, construction is closing in around Wright's modest home.
Has the developer at any point come to you to speak face-to-face about this?
No, I've never spoken to any one of them. They have never knocked on my door.
She says about 5 years ago, a woman did ask her about selling the land to an interested anonymous buyer for $39,000.
And I said,
talk about a come up, 39,000, jeez.
Yeah, she was shooting a shot.
You insulted my intelligence. And would you give them that message?
She says her first communication with the company, Bailey Point Investment LLC, was being served legal notice, which alleges a satellite dish, a shed, and a portion of Wright's screened-in back porch are sitting outside of her property line, encroaching on theirs, according to their land survey. The lawsuit seeks removal, plus just an adequate compensation.
Now, Jimmy, this is why I wanted you to talk about this, because I know you're the man when it comes to appraisals.
For its loss of the use and enjoyment of their property and expenses related to delays in development.
Bailey Point says that the corner?
That little corner is on their property.
So the issue is that corner?
Yes.
Wright has filed.
That's not even like 25 feet, but I mean, an encroachment is an encroachment, right?
Yes, and this all based upon the legal description that's on, her deed. So she would have to get her own survey to show which part of the land she owns. To me, they're grasping at straws, trying to find a way to attack her.
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, you got to get. I understand you got to get your own appraisal. And I guess what's the appraisal and
A survey. You got to get a
survey.
survey.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's what word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
I understand you got to get your own survey, but yeah, I think they are grasping.
So they haven't done anything technically like illegal, but morally and legality are two different things.
Correct.
A countersuit alleging Bailey Point and their affiliates are using harassment and intimidation tactics to pressure her off the land. Now, Bailey Point has filed a response denying any harassment, as well as any previous offers to purchase her land. She has received an outpouring of support and donations, even from celebrities like Tyler Perry, Snoop Dogg, Fantasia, and NBA player Kyrie Irving.
There it is.
The town of Hilton Head just announced it is pausing all construction in line with their town code, refusing to issue Bailey Point building permits until the lawsuits are resolved. But Josephine Wright isn't alone in her fight.
She speaks to the Gullah culture and the Gullah desire to fight back.
Luana Graves Sellers runs a nonprofit called the Low Country Gullah Foundation, focused on helping prevent land loss in the Gullah Geechee community. Her nonprofit estimates that since Hilton Head Island became a vacation destination after a mainland bridge was built in the 1950s, the Gullah Geechee have lost nearly 2/3 of their acreage, mostly due to rising property taxes and problems with something called heirs property.
How pervasive is that on this island now?
It's pervasive here, but it's pervasive throughout the South. And unfortunately, heirs property is the primary way that Black people in America are losing their land.
Heirs property is a type of land ownership where a single property may be inherited by multiple members of a family for generations after the original owner passes away. But there's often a lack of clear legal documentation, making families vulnerable to land loss when there are disagreements within the family over selling. In some of these cases here, the land is being purchased by developers.
Just look at this. This is one of the most peaceful areas.
And lost by the Gullah Geechee. But in the case of Josephine Wright, she's standing firm on her ground.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I've never backed down on anything that was right.
Now, on the past couple months leading up to this week, CNN has repeatedly reached out to Bailey Point
Now,
and really anyone that we could
the
find
woman looks
associated with the
absolutely
project.
amazing.
And
She's
name
93
developer
years
is-
old.
Yeah.
Doesn't look 93 at all. But I find it interesting, right? Again, the lady said Black people are losing their property in the South and in the North and in the West and in the Midwest because of air property. And a lot of times we're not documenting these things properly so they can work with the legal system.
In my experience, up here in the North, that's how we lose a majority of our land. And a lot of times it's because, our elders, like, they're trying to do the right thing. So I lost property, again, story time. I've lost property in my own family that way. My grandmother on my father's side had some land in, what was called Dogtown. Now it's just like East Mount Airy. Kamar, you know about that.
I do.
Yeah, so right off of Musgrave on Springer Street. And when my grandmother and grandfather passed, they had 6 kids and left it all to left the property to 6 kids. And I don't know about you guys listening or watching, but you can't get 6 people to agree that the sky is blue. So one person wants to live there, one person wants to sell, one person could care less, one person likes cut me a check when I get it, and what ends up happening is taxes aren't paid, upkeep's not done, property ends up going to sheriff's sale, whatever. So, I mean, that's happened to me personally in my family. And the crazy part is, in my situation, I tried to buy it from the family. Like, look, let me handle it. But, sometimes in our families think, like, no, we got this. End up losing the property. But I see it all the time outside of my family. Like, I have clients all the time that, listen, we got to sell this house now. Why do you have to sell? Well, it's getting ready to face foreclosure because grandmom left it to 5 people. Like, this happens every day. And a lot of times, like I said, they're trying to do the right thing.